All right, welcome everyone. Just making sure everyone's getting in okay. So as you join, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know your name, where you're coming from, and anything you're excited for the rest of this week. So I will kick us off. My name is Kayla Musil. I'm the program manager here at the U.S. Green Building Council of West Michigan. And I am very excited to go get my wedding dress this weekend. It is all done and I'm going to get it. So if you've just joined us, again, introduce yourself in the chat, let us know where you're coming from, and let us know anything you're excited for this weekend. To get started, we are going to talk about the future of LEED and the local perspective today. And we are really excited to have Lana Crouse, Regional Director of Market Transformation and Development at the U.S. Green Building Council, and Matthew Hollander, President at Hollander Development Corporation, with us today. So thank you both for being here. I just have a couple slides to go through and then we will get started. Also, keep using that chat to introduce yourselves, for any comments throughout the webinar, and then try to keep your questions to the Q&A, just so it keeps us a little bit more organized at the end when we're going through that section. So a big thank you to our members who are on the call with us today. We can't do this without your support, and we're always so grateful for it. If you are not a member, we have a lot of great programs and educational material to share with you. So if you are interested in joining, you can reach out to me, any of our staff. You can scan the QR code on this slide. I'll also have Allie put the link in the chat as well. So if you're interested, we would love to get to know you and talk to you a bit more. Also, a huge thank you to our visionary supporters, DTE, Consumers Energy, Eagle, and the Weggy Foundation. So here's our agenda. We'll have Lana go first, talk about the future of LEED, and then Matt will give us that local West Michigan case study. And then we'll have about 10-15 minutes at the end for Q&A. So I will stop sharing and let Lana kick us off.
Hello, everyone. Give me just a moment to pull up our slides and then we'll get started.
I'm really into everyone, or some people being excited about the crazy weather we're about to get. I'm like, give me spring.
Yeah, I love snow. I love going out in it as long as I don't have to travel too far. So be interested to see what comes. So hello, everyone. Thanks for letting me join today. Kayla, thanks for inviting me to come and talk with the group, and just really excited to share with you all. We've had a lot of new developments with LEED, and just want to share a little bit about our future and where we are going as an organization. So again, my name is Lana Crouse. I'm the Regional Director for USGBC National, and I oversee Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Illinois. And this is what we consider our East North Central region. My role is really to help you, our members, our stakeholders really achieve your sustainability goals, both personally and professionally and organizationally. And I really am here just to connect you with education and resources and technical staff if needed to make sure that you are successful through using the LEED rating system. So, the vision of USGBC, it states that buildings and communities will regenerate and sustain the health and vitality of all life within a generation. So simply put, it means we strive for green buildings for everyone within a generation. This is the challenge the USGBC set forth in our inception in 1993, which is 30 years ago. We're very excited about celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. And it's what inspired the creation of the LEED Green Building Program. So we want to talk a little bit about, where we've gone and where we're going. So alongside our expert volunteers, we've developed a set of principles that are the result of deep and meaningful conversations with the LEED community over the past several months and really over the last year. Excuse me. They represent what we have heard from volunteers, members, stakeholders, and many others who are connected through the green building movement, and they will guide our work as we chart the course ahead. Hopefully some of you were able to provide feedback and participate in those discussions over the last year or so. These principles are an opening to additional input for how LEED evolves, both through our technical requirements and through our market development efforts. And we use this as a market transformation tool, and we ask that you help join us here. These conversations are ongoing, and it will take the collective knowledge, passion, and commitment from everyone to really be able to achieve these goals. LEED must meet the needs of an incredibly wide and diverse audience, while at the same time never relenting in its pursuit of market transformation. Excuse me. As the rating system evolves to meet the most pressing concerns of today, it will need to be more than just guidance alone. LEED will need to be a tool for transformative and high-performance buildings. It will need to have built-in requirements that support leadership actions at every level. And this means establishing resources that function as on-ramps to data reporting and progressive steps that move projects forward in their adoption of strategies that get them to the LEED certification at the highest levels. So LEED will help drive the building sector to carbon neutrality while promoting health, equity, resilience, and the safe use of all resources. To achieve this, USGBC is keeping what is working well, but we also have to amend what needs to be adjusted and really rethink what needs to be overhauled. The way forward will include a phased approach, and the next version of LEED will be a step in the process that supports the building sector overall, focused on the built environment's alignment with the targets outlined in the Paris Agreement, and it addresses climate imperatives, including equity, health, biodiversity, and resilience. So these principles are all developed by USGBC, and they're an opening to additional input of how LEED can really evolve. And it's for both technical requirements and as that market transformation tool. And again, we've really asked you to join us in this process. So these conversations are ongoing, and will really take a collective knowledge and passion and commitment of all of us to be able to achieve these goals. So now I want to dive into each of these principles. So the first one is scale for impact. So the problems that we face demand solutions at the global scale. We will increase the impact of LEED by making compliance simple, intuitive, and barrier-free. And we'll provide streamlined tools and pathways for more buildings, portfolios, cities, and communities to engage. We will leverage ESG reporting frameworks, performance standards, and local regulation to drive, recognize, and reward continuous performance tracking. So what's now is we are inspiring leaders in the industry to take action, and we are engaging with key stakeholders to ensure that LEED is aligned with the frameworks for green financing, investment, and disclosure, and that it becomes an effective tool for corporate ESG reporting. We're focusing on existing buildings to ensure that all projects have options to track and report performance data and to use it as an on-ramp to LEED certification. And we're establishing that buildings designed and constructed to LEED standards must also be operated to LEED standards. And so to do this, we're setting a framework for all LEED building design and construction projects, so new construction. We're setting that certification to 3 years and evolving the industry to transform buildings for LEED that are existing buildings through the operations and maintenance rating system. So looking at what's next, we want to launch a single streamlined platform to simplify the compliance and promote meaningful engagement with projects through their life cycle. We want to reduce documentation burden for certification while maintaining the rigor of third-party verification, and improve data management and reporting to support continuous improvement of LEED projects and inform smarter decisions. We're also planning to create a pathway for a broader set of the marketplace, including buildings and portfolios, to promote sustainable performance. Next up is decarbonize the building industry swiftly to reflect the urgency of the climate crisis. And so LEED can really spearhead the decarbonization of the built environment and propel market transformation toward achieving the 2030 and 2050 Paris Climate Accord targets. We will employ a comprehensive suite of strategies to reduce emissions from operations, materials, construction, refrigerants, and transportation, while promoting carbon sequestration, and positive net outcomes. Accountability performance is really important. So what's now? We'll update the minimum operational energy standards and establish decarbonization pathways for new and existing buildings. And then looking at what's next, for new construction specifically, we're going to require carbon zero readiness for normal operations, require actions for decarbonizations at the building, community, and city levels by prioritizing reductions from on-site combustion, lowering peak heating and cooling loads, and grid harmonization. And we'll reduce the embodied carbon, use construction equipment and techniques that are less carbon intensive, and supply data on carbon emissions. And then for existing buildings, it will focus on projects will submit plans to decarbonize and report on milestones along with a decarbonization trajectory. And then some of the more ambitious requirements will be phased into LEED over time. And so the first will be achieving carbon neutrality for normal operations, which is scope 1, and meet more ambitious targets for embodied carbon, refrigerants, and vehicle charging. And then we'll be establishing pathways for carbon positive buildings for scope 1, 2, and 3. Next, we will be inspiring and recognizing adaptive and resilient built environments. So LEED can address our changing climate by proactively identifying and integrating adaptation strategies. And in doing so, LEED will really help to mainstream the proficiency and resilience in the green building community and focusing on green real estate, facilitating absorption and recovery from disruptive events. And LEED requirements will be evaluated through a resilience lens. So for right now, education and engaging project teams on how to assess and identify their climate risks is a focus. And then moving on to what's next, projects will have tools to address their climate risks, including opportunities to serve needs that are relevant to their role in the community. So new buildings will have a building-specific survivability assessment and will be designed with systems that can maintain appropriate habitability. And then existing buildings will have a plan to provide appropriate habitability as well. And there will be additional emphasis on requirements that encourage the choice of smart systems and resilient locations. Next up is investing in human health. So human health is a long-standing value of LEED. LEED will continue to motivate investment in healthy materials and quality indoor and outdoor environments. LEED projects will understand their community health needs, shifting from single acts to a holistic approach to mental and physical health promotion. LEED will explore new focus areas while integrating concepts currently in the pilot phase, including active design, water quality testing, and addressing health disparities. So what's focused on now is promoting project understanding and communication of indoor environments, and require that all LEED projects take actions to improve indoor air quality and address fundamental mental and physical health needs, and supporting public health, well-being, and safety of prioritizing resilient and people-oriented sit designs. So then what's next moving forward? Projects will use multi-attribute optimized projects and materials that improve human and ecological health. They'll establish areas in the green building project ecosystems that we want to amplify and amplify areas that we want to lead on. We'll also focus on combating existing health disparities and establish pathways to enhance water stewardship and water quality. So really focusing on equity and being fair across. Next up is creating environments in which diversity, equity, inclusivity thrive and fly. So market transformation requires equitable access for all benefits of green building. LEED's development process must be inclusive and reflect the diversity of the global green building stakeholder community. And LEED integrates core values for social equity, human rights through supply chains, construction, and operation. And LEED buildings must be sensitive to the needs of the under-resourced frontline communities disappropriately burdened by health and well-being impacts of the changing climate, and will enable a more just transition to a carbon neutral economy. So looking at what's now, we want to increase access to LEED. And we want to engage a diverse audience so that we can better represent those impacted by and working with the built environment, such as taking active steps to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in our industry, including among accredited professionals, volunteer committees, and during the decision-making process through our volunteer groups. And then looking at what's next, will require that LEED projects take actions to further outcomes in diversity, equity, and inclusion in the buildings and the neighborhoods where LEED projects are located. We want to promote DEI in development, design, and construction teams. And we want to explore ways to take accountability for inequities and increase funding and engagement for climate or health-related improvements for low-income or community projects. And then next, we're looking at support for flourishing ecosystems through regenerative development practices. So the built environment will work in harmony with ecological systems to promote life for all beings. Urban, suburban, rural locations, they'll all be focused on being empowered, becoming resilient and self-sustaining communities. LEED will promote criteria for self-selection, site design, building operations, and material selection that preserve or restore productive land, water systems, and habitat. So what's now? We will recognize local and regional leadership and integrate third-party tools, prioritizing low-impact, regenerative, and human-scale development and sustainable mobility. We will also engage with key stakeholders to ensure that LEED offerings for local government, existing communities, and new neighborhood development are accessible, globally relevant, and integrated with LEED projects for buildings. And then looking at what's next, we will engage every site and protect sensitive areas. We will support IFP-like design, regional and local food, transportation, and energy and water systems. And we will conserve, restore, and create beneficial ecosystems. And we'll also conserve and enhance biodiversity. So all of these pieces are through our Future of LEED document. So if you want to learn more and you're interested, I highly encourage you to either scan that QR code, or you can go to the URL there listed, excuse me, which will go through all of this, but in much more detail and really share where we're going. We will also continue to update this information so you really see where the evolution and things are moving as we transition forward. Also just want to highlight, we are also currently looking at our active rating systems. And so before, for those of you that may have been keeping up on things, we just had a proposed energy update, and that was really for V4, and that was really focused on energy performance and emission reductions and a new greenhouse gas emissions metric, all of those added in. That public comment period just ended last month. And so right now the LEED steering committee is reviewing all the comments and determining if any of the changes if there's any changes needed to that proposed language. If they are needed, then we'll open up a second public comment period, and that'll also be open for 30 days, just like all of them. And then once that language is finalized, the changes will be brought to the members to vote. So for those of you that are with the organization that's a member of USGBC, you do have the right and opportunity to vote on any open public comment period. So please, again, continue to be involved, continue to engage, and continue to share your voice so that we can really make sure this rating system is supporting all of our community and moving things forward the way we are looking for it to be. So as of right now, our communication has been that we will be providing more information about LEED V5 coming up at Greenville, which will take place in September. It's actually September 26th to the 29th. And that will be taking place in Washington, D.C. So we very much hope that you can come out and join us, learn about information for overall with the green industry. We will also be co-hosting a conference along with the with the IWBI Institute. And so if you're interested in either the WELL rating system or LEED rating system, it's a great way for you to come and get all that information during that week. And we will be rolling out the language around LEED V5 at Greenville. So if you do want to continue to stay involved and know what's going on, first and foremost, we would encourage you to come there. And then just wanted to highlight, please join us. We have both national memberships for organizations, or we have local memberships. For those of you who want to be a member locally, you can become an individual of West Michigan chapter or of the USGBC Detroit region here in Michigan, as well as there's communities all over the US as well. We also have opportunities to engage here locally with committees and education opportunities. We also have regional committees and national committees. So if you're looking to get involved, we have lots of ways for you to get involved. We love to have people volunteer and be a part of this process and help support our nonprofit as we continue to push the market forward. So thank you so much. I think that's it for this first portion here, but I'll be happy to take questions once we get to the question section. So Kayla, I will turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Lana. Matt, you can go ahead and share your screen.
Hey, everybody. I am Matt Hollander, and I am the president of Hollander Development Corporation. We're a Kalamazoo, Michigan-based affordable housing developer. We've been developing apartment communities around the state of Michigan since 1979, and we've developed over 4,000 units across more than 40 projects to date, many of which have been either LEED certified or certified under Enterprise Green Communities. So today I'm going to talk about the Creamery project. We actually opened this project 2 years ago in Kalamazoo, and we achieved LEED Platinum V4, which is the highest LEED certification we've achieved. We've done gold a couple times before that. On this project, we really wanted to flex and see how far we could go. So here we go. Why is it called the Creamery? It's on the site of a former creamery, and we're creative about some things in our office. Naming apartment complexes is not necessarily one of those things. This is the Clover Gold Creamery, which was in operation in Kalamazoo for, I believe, over 80 years. Originally, it was the City Union Brewery, which we didn't find out until later in the project. Otherwise, we might have named it the brewery. And what happened over time is the brewery was converted into a creamery right around the time of Prohibition. And after the creamery stopped operating at that site, it went through a series of uses and turned into a blighted property. You can see the original City Union Brewery building here, and the photo on the right, if you can see my cursor, is what it looked like when the buildings were torn down. Again, crazy looking historic building. I wish that it would have stayed in this form. It didn't. It turned into what I think of as sort of a metastasized, blighted complex that was pretty scary by the time the Kalamazoo County Land Bank Authority cleared the site. So we worked with the Kalamazoo County Land Bank Authority to redevelop the site. They started without us and hired Bison Associates, who were the architects and engineers who went on to design our building. They worked with the land bank to host a series of community charrettes. So there were neighbors, school kids, local business owners, representatives from the city of Kalamazoo, a bunch of different stakeholders who got together and worked with the land bank and BICE to come up with this concept, which was the original concept for the project. What you can see here is we have a long and narrow site. This kind of box building in the back is the only remaining feature of the original creamery complex. It's now a biodegradable cleaning products company called BioClean. The neighborhood charrettes evolved into this design, which was a 3-story building anchoring the corner, 0 lot line, some additional parallel parking spaces, parking in the rear so that we would be promoting this sort of downtown feel of an area of Kalamazoo's Edison neighborhood called Washington Square, which is a historic neighborhood business node in a low-income neighborhood. The Edison neighborhood is one of Kalamazoo's oldest neighborhoods. It's also one of Kalamazoo's poorest neighborhoods. And it's a neighborhood that was subject to redlining while that was actively being done. And it has the highest proportion of Latinx households in the Kalamazoo city area. And there's still a lot of sort of abject poverty in the neighborhood. It's a qualified census tract and an area of concentrated poverty. So this is part of a long-term effort to redevelop what's called the Portage Street corridor. You can see Portage on this sort of aerial site plan view here, leading north on Portage. It sort of goes northwest. This leads directly into downtown Kalamazoo. It's only a few blocks north of the site. If you go south, you get into the Millwood neighborhood, which is another historic Kalamazoo neighborhood. And if you go far enough, you get to the Battle Creek Kalamazoo International Airport, which is called International because it serves Canada. And this is one of the arterial gateways into downtown Kalamazoo. It's one of the primary ways that people get in there. So this is what the community came up with before we got involved. We got involved with the project in 2015, and what we ultimately built, here's another aerial photo of the site after all the buildings were cleared. You can see Portage Street here, Lake Street is the east-west cross street here. What we eventually built was this building, which is called the Creamery. Like I said, we achieved LEED Platinum. We got our certification recently. It took a long time for us to get certified. We had all kinds of problems during COVID constructing the building, but it's there. And the building itself is separated into 3 distinct uses. It's a mixed use, mixed income development. We have 48 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, which are all affordable and workforce housing. We have 15 units that are affordable, 15 1-bedroom units that are affordable to people at or below 30% of area median income. Those are, basically full-time minimum wage workers. Those units rent for still under $400 a month, including utilities. So very affordable units, up to workforce housing units, which are affordable to people in the 80 to 120% AMI range of incomes. Those are moderate income, middle-class families who have been squeezed in between affordable housing, where we have a lot of federal incentives available, and market rate housing, which is too expensive for many of them to afford. These are just photos of the finished units. The only difference between an affordable housing unit and a workforce housing unit in the building is the stainless fronts on the same GE Energy Star appliances, and the workforce units have quartz countertops versus laminate countertops, which you'll find in the affordable units. This top right picture is a photo of one of our 1-bedroom floor plans. They're all identical. They have a 5-foot wide sort of barn door configuration on the bedroom because the narrow site created the need for a long and narrow building where most of our daylighting is concentrated on single walls within these 1-bedroom units. So we have large window walls that you can't see in this photograph, but there's a translucent panel here on the barn door so that you get some daylighting into the bedroom, even if that door is closed. And this is about a 700 square foot floor plan. Every unit in the building has in-unit washers and dryers. We used condensing heat pump dryers to avoid adding any more building penetrations than necessary for energy efficiency. Everybody has a dishwasher. There are garbage disposals in all of the sinks, and luxury vinyl tile flooring, which is all floor score certified. And then throughout the building, we also have green guard carpet and other materials that have third-party certifications that are LEED compliant. In terms of residential amenities, we have a small community room that people have free access to. It's still a little bit stark. We're trying to get more artwork throughout the building, but it's a nice space that's free of charge for residents to use for birthday parties or gatherings or meetings or whatever they need to do. We have a full service 24-hour fitness center in the building with really nice workout equipment. We have a bicycle storage room, which is an amenity that people pay $15 a month for. They also have access. They have key card access to an oversized door that goes directly to the exterior of the building. So people can ride up to the outside, open this big door, store their bike in a secure, video monitored room that's restricted access. And then they also have access to a bathroom that has key card access with a shower in it. So the commercial tenants in the building have access to this as well as the residential tenants. And we made sure that if people want to ride their bike to work, which I like to do as much as I can, they have a way to shower off so they're not gross. Speaking of commercial tenants, the building in total is about 60,000 square feet. At the corner of Lake and Portage, we have 2,700 square feet of what was white box commercial space. This is all built out now. On the right side from this vantage is our office. I'm working from home today, but this is where I would be normally. And then on the other side of that, we have a small commercial tenant. This is Eric and Joy Morris Burton. They are a married couple who run a dance, yoga, Pilates, and art studio. So we have access in the building to these sort of fitness classes and dance classes and art classes. They collaborate with the building management on the residential side to market their offerings to the residents, as well as the YWCA, which is on the other end of the building, and I'll talk about in a second. This was a small business incubation project on our end. We were able to set up the financing on the project so that these guys could come into the project with 50% reduction in their rent for 6 months before they had to start paying full market rent, which at full rent is still below market rate for commercial. This is their first brick and mortar shop, even though both of them have been actively working in their art forms throughout the community for more than 10 years. On the other end of the building, this is the south side, southwest side, or southeast side of the building, sorry. This is, it's actually called the Creamery. I should have updated this slide. The YWCA branded this children's center. It is a 7,800 square foot, 24-hour early childhood learning center. And there are 4 full-size daytime early childhood classrooms for preschool. And then there are 12 beds of 24-hour first, second, and third shift drop-off childcare. So the drop-off childcare is intended for families in crisis, people who need last-minute daycare, and also people in the neighborhood who work second and third shift jobs where it's difficult for them to find daycare at a normal, normal hours kind of daycare place. So as far as we know, this is the first comprehensive early childhood center in Michigan to also offer 24-hour childcare. They are running an employment program with the Kalamazoo Literacy Council to upskill people from the neighborhood into being able to work in a childcare setting. So they're working with people to get their GEDs. They're working with people to get special, licensing that's specific to childcare. And they're also working with the kind of underground, we call it the auntie and grandma economy in the neighborhoods of people who are running unlicensed daycare centers that are critically important to residents of the neighborhood, but may not want to reach out to the state licensing agency with questions about how to incorporate best practices into their daycare for fear of getting licensing violations or shut down or whatever it is. So this is a safe space for folks in that position to come and learn about how they should be doing what they do. This is a picture from the mezzanine of the Children's Center. The Children's Center, like I said, is just under 8,000 square feet. There's a big, wide open, high ceilinged area, which is 3 of the 4 classrooms. And then there's a mezzanine over the 4th classroom in the kitchen area. Some other photos of the center. They have a full kitchen. They have a whole local food program where they work with local food producers and vendors to provide healthy food to the kids. And they also have made healthy local food kind of a centerpiece of their programming. So that's very consistent with the environmental goals that we had on the project. So we're really, really happy to be working with them. They're a fantastic organization. In terms of technical green aspects of the building, our wall system is a zip sheathing system. So we have just under R10 and zip sheathing, and then we have 2x6 wood framing. It said this is actually a wood framed building for the most part. We have some structural steel in a couple areas of the building, but it's mostly 2x6, 16-inch on center framing. We have just over R20 of blown cellulose insulation in the wall cavities, and we've done all kinds of air sealing to make sure that we have compartmentalization between the individual residential units and the other spaces within the building. This is a photograph from construction of the zip sheathing going on the south side of the building. This is what will later become the YWCA Children's Center. The building I like to describe as kind of a barbell shape. So we have a skinny middle and then we have weighty ends. And the 2-bedroom units that we built are all in the ends. So there's 2-bedroom units above the YWCA on the 2nd and 3rd floor here. And then on the other end of the building above our office and the dance studio, there are additional 2-bedroom units in that brick portion at the end. And then it's all 1-bedroom units, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor in the center of the building. In terms of solar photovoltaics, we have approximately 35 kilowatts of DC capacity on the rooftop. That offsets about 1/3 of our house electric. The building on the residential side is almost entirely electric. We have a small gas connection to our dedicated outdoor air system. Sorry, I'll go back to the other slide in a second. This purple box here is our whole building ventilation system. And that's constantly sucking stale air out of the building and pumping fresh air into the building so that we have healthy indoor environmental quality. The building is tight enough that we need to be mechanically introducing fresh air. There's a heat recovery wheel in there, and there's also a very small gas burner that tempers some of the incoming air if it's really cold outside and the heat recovery wheel can't keep up with it. That's the only gas connection on the entire residential side of the building. We do have high efficiency gas units serving the commercial spaces. Our primary goal here, and I should be clear that only the residential condo within this building has the LEED Platinum certification. We built everything using similar specifications. So I think we would have gotten close to that on the commercial spaces, but we needed to settle on a rating system and we wanted to go with LEED for homes. So that's what we did. The next projects we're doing, we're hoping to make completely 100% electric. The heating and cooling for all of the residential units are provided with mini split air source heat pumps. They're carrier units. At the time we put them in, they were, if not the highest efficiency, they were one of the highest efficiency low temperature models available on the market. I'm not sure if better ones are available today. If they are, we'll use them on the next project. Photograph of the PV array on the roof. What we did is we actually put in oversized conductors from the meter bank at ground level up to the roof so that when we decide to do it, we can almost double the capacity of photovoltaics on the roof. We have additional space on the other side, the back side of the mechanical equipment, where we can mount more panels, and we can mount panels on top of the stairway and the elevator areas here. So we do intend to do that in the future. But right now we're at about 35 kilowatts. These are the mini splits. Each unit has its own mini split. So these are the condensing units, and these are fed by line sets to the various residential units throughout the building. We have a couple additional ones that serve some of the common areas. And we do have a green roof on the project. Why? Biophilic design. I like it. Nobody likes sitting on a roof looking at mechanical equipment. We did not do it because we thought it was going to make a significant difference in our stormwater system, or it was going to provide insulated value to the roof. It was solely for the enjoyment of people sitting on a roof and needing some natural connection, and it serves that purpose very well. We've had fantastic growth of that green roof system. It's provided by Live Roof, which is a Michigan-based company. There are colonies of honeybees living up there, and sitting out there on a nice spring or fall day is a really, really good place to be. So this is a photograph of the green roof. You can see in the background is downtown Kalamazoo, which is a very short bike ride. It's within walking distance if you like to walk. And we're right on a public transportation line. So we have a bus stop right outside the building for people who want to use public transit. And this roof deck area is free for any resident to use. We've had the Edison neighborhood started an Edison neighborhood jazz festival last year, and we hosted a jazz concert up here. We intend to do events like that moving forward into the future. Another thing that we did, which we did think was going to be a little bit better in terms of stormwater buffering, was Bice and Associates, our architects and engineers, custom designed a green wall trellis system. So on the outside of the building, in several locations, wherever the roof scuppers drain, these are roof scuppers, if you don't know what that word means. these are the exit ports for the roof drains. So water hits the roof, it goes down the drain, it pours into these planters where we have vegetation growing up here. I know one of you is going to ding me because this is Virginia creeper, and I promise I hate it as much as you do, and we're trying to switch it over to something else, but for right now it works. There is an overflow drain here that does go into the storm system. So we're taking all the rainwater we can, growing stuff on the outside of the building to add to that biophilic design element. And if it overflows and it needs to go in the storm system, it has a path to do that. This past year, we won the Certified Green Building Multifamily Award at the annual awards ceremony for the West Michigan USGBC. That's one of the reasons that I'm talking to you today. We were very proud of that. In this photograph is me, Jason Muniz from my team, Greg Dietz from Frederick Construction, Mike Flynn from Bison Associates, and Jamari Bogan from our team. This is a Southwest Michigan-based team. And even coming into a project where we wanted to do LEED Platinum, we set a goal early in the project that we were going to try and work with people who were from our region. We didn't want to reach out to out-of-state experts to help design it. We wanted to try and build that capacity in our own backyard. So Bison Associates and Hollander Development are both based in Kalamazoo. We worked with Catalyst Partners on the LEED certification based in Grand Rapids. And then Frederick Construction is based in Vicksburg, which is just south of Kalamazoo. So what's next? I've always liked this slide from the International Living Future Institute. I don't know if I'm supposed to put it up in webinars and stuff like that. I don't really care. It's a good slide because to me, what it shows is kind of the path that we're on in terms of what we want to do in the built environment as we try to move towards sustainability. And so, here we have code-built buildings are the buildings, I like to say a code-built building is the worst building you're legally allowed to build. Those are going to have the most, negative environmental impacts, highest greenhouse gas emissions, worst indoor environmental quality, forests, stormwater management, so on and so forth. A basic green building, is going to be a step up from that, but we're still in the less bad versus good kind of mindset. High performance buildings, and I would put the Creamery into this portion of this slide. It's more of the less bad. We're still buying a bunch of electricity that's produced primarily using coal and natural gas, and we still have significant negative environmental effects. We're really proud of how well we did on this one, but we feel like we have a long way to go. So at this stage, what we're trying to do is we're trying to graduate to somewhere in this territory here so that we can eventually move into not necessarily the Living Building Challenge, although I think that's a fantastic program, but something where we really do feel like this is what good looks like. So our current project right now, we have a project under development in another project in Kalamazoo. It's called the Legacy Senior Living. It's a partnership between Mount Zion Baptist Church and Edison Community Partners, which is a new venture that we're spinning off from Hollander Development with a focus on racial equity in real estate development. So that will be a minority-owned development company working with a historic Black church in a predominantly Black neighborhood, the Northside neighborhood of Kalamazoo. And we are really trying to focus on racial equity in this particular project. Our goal is to make it 100% electric. We want to cover every square inch of south-facing roof with PV panels and then some. There are some new provisions that came with the Inflation Reduction Act that should allow us to do that. It's much easier for us to finance photovoltaics than it ever has been. We're trying to get to Passive House on the north building here, which is a 3-story building with 36 apartments and community spaces. And then the south building, our intent right now is to certify that under the National Green Building Standard, NGBS. The north building will be dual certified FIAS and NGBS. We got state financing for that project a couple months ago, and we are in schematic design, hoping to be under construction around August of this year. So this project is moving forward. We have the financing in place, and we're super excited. Here's my contact information. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, I would be happy to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. So don't be shy. And I think we still have 15 minutes for Q&A, which may be the only time I've ever done that.
That's a lot of information to cover too, really quickly. So thank you both, for sharing that information, Lana, for giving us that, future perspective of where LEED is headed, and Matt giving us that really detailed overview of the Creamery. I was actually really glad you put that living building challenge slide up there, because I mean, we're in this like healthy building webinar series, and for people that have been following us along, almost, I think this started, we started talking about like the certification edit over or about a year ago, I think. And, we've talked about a lot of those. And when you were talking about biophilic design, I was like, oh, that sounds like LBC. So, totally fine that you put that in there. Let's see. Okay, and then Matt, I don't know if do you mind putting your contact information? Oh, there you go. Great, thank you. And then I think I saw someone raised their hand. Erwin, I will allow you to talk real quick to ask your question if you would like. And if not, if you don't want to talk, you can put it in the chat as well. Okay, maybe not. So go ahead and put it in the chat if you still have your question. So Matt, I was kind of wondering when you were talking, if you could maybe give a little context to, maybe why you started with LEED at some point, and like kind of your progression to, that picture you showed with like code and green building and like living building challenge, like, and where you're at in that slide, kind of how has it been for you, that progression to start to change your design?
I came from sustainability to affordable housing is the answer. I used to be part of the Office for Sustainability at Western Michigan University, which is a very LEED positive university. At the time I was working there was a policy that all new buildings had to meet at least silver certification. And I came into that work already believing strongly that we need to take aggressive measures to deal with the climate crisis. So the difficult part for me was to figure out how that dovetails with the existing state programs and federal programs around affordable housing, because I also deeply believe in, equitable solutions, not only in terms of racial equity, but in terms of income inequality. And what I had seen early on, and what a lot of people saw early on in LEED, and there were a lot of good reasons for this, were high-end projects. They were expensive, fancy houses, or they were expensive commercial office buildings. And at the time, those were the people who could afford to take a risk and try something new. And over time, we watched that develop into a much broader application. I mean, I can't go to Lowe's today and buy paint with VOCs in it, largely because of LEED. And so I've seen that progression over time. I was a LEED accredited professional for several years. I've given that up because I just don't have time to do that. So we're always now working with third-party Green Raiders, Catalyst partners on this project. Eco Achievers is who we're working with on the project we have under development in Kalamazoo right now. So that's really the answer. Nobody convinced me that this was a good idea after I was already a developer. I came into this knowing that this is how things should be. So Julia asked, are there any government credits or incentives for implementing green strategies? Absolutely. We got tremendous support from, Consumers Energy in terms of rebates and incentives on the Creamery project. We got investment tax credits on our solar array that we were able to combine with the 4% low-income housing tax credits we used to finance the project through the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. The Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, for projects like this, they like mixed-use urban projects like this. They pretty well require that you're going to do some sort of green certification. MISHDA now on affordable housing projects throughout the state of Michigan, and we advocated for this as part of an alliance of groups around the state. We were one of the only developers that advocated for it, and nobody's punched me yet, so I think we're doing okay. But LEED is now one of the it's one of the options to meet a threshold requirement for all new affordable housing projects that are financed by the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. So actually, I shouldn't say that. They have one program now where you don't have to do it, but if it's a low-income housing tax credit program, which is the primary way that affordable housing projects are financed throughout the United States, with MISHDA now, minimum, you have to do like a mid-range LEED, NGBS, or Enterprise Green Communities certification. So in order to even get your foot in the door in terms of that financing, you have to commit to one of those. And then there are incentives built into their programs now that incentivize FIAS, the higher level LEED certifications, the higher level Enterprise Green Community certifications. So there's definitely support from the state level. And then there's just a huge amount of money out there right now from the Inflation Reduction Act that there's always a delay when there are these massive federal programs that roll out, but we're starting to see that money trickle into projects. And so absolutely, there are a lot of incentives and credits out there.
Awesome. Thank you for that additional context. Okay. And then Lana, I wanted to also ask too, and I know we've talked about this a little bit one-on-one, but can you maybe talk a little bit about, you know, maybe the push for carbon and decarbonization in like the future of LEED? Do you like any additional context with that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I mean, decarbonization has always been a focus of LEED, but now I think it's more of a focus. I think people are really looking at where their carbon's coming from, looking at scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, trying to really understand what that means and what their impact is. You know, so many people just look at the building they're working in and aren't thinking of all the different aspects of what does the building actually produce? What is the materials that they're putting in their building? How do those get produced? What off-gassing do they create? And then where do those resources come in from? So I think LEED is LEED is a tool. It's a tool for you to create your highest performing building. So LEED is going to continue to push the envelope and continue to help with that market transformation of really making sure those buildings understand, or the project teams, I should say, understand all those different scopes of where their carbon is coming from. So I think overall, I mean, besides what I highlighted, I think just the main thing to just understand is just that it's going to become an even more large focus for LEED, and something that is going to be more clear, I don't want to say rules, but more clear pathways to be able to achieve those decarbonization goals that companies do have. And then it really pulls in that ESG reporting as well. So we do have a platform now that you can enter your building in to be able to track all that information, but it's going to become even more robust and more accessible as we move forward.
Great, thank you. Matt.
It's evolving.
Yeah, of course.
We're all evolving together.
Yeah. Matt, I don't know if you saw Bob's question.
Yeah, Bob asked a technical question. So it was my understanding PACE, which is property assessed clean energy, doesn't work with low-income housing tax credits. Can you elaborate? PACE is a financing mechanism that works in an identical way to a tax assessment. And when you do a PACE loan, the traditional PACE loan structure was for projects that were existing projects where you had a building that needed a bunch of energy efficiency improvements or water efficiency improvements. and you would underwrite a PACE loan to be paid back from the savings that were projected from those efficiency measures. PACE has grown into a program where now there are financing mechanisms where you can get financing from PACE in other ways. It is tough with affordable housing for two reasons. The first reason is that most affordable housing projects get tax abatements in the form of what are called pilots, which is a payment in lieu of taxes. So, if you own a home, you pay ad valorem taxes. The assessor, comes up with an assessed value on your home. They use that to calculate how many dollars in taxes you owe based on your millage rate. And it's pretty straightforward. On an affordable housing project, one of the tools that municipalities have to support affordable housing is they can charge an affordable housing project a tax payment that's less than what they would pay if they were paying ad valorem taxes, like a market rate development. When that happens, the project effectively becomes tax exempt, and it causes some complications with the mechanism that PACE uses to attach that debt to a project. The second issue is that many affordable housing projects are financed using HUD mortgage insurance or agency loans from Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. And those three types of lending products, the people who run those programs have pretty steadfastly refused to allow PACE loans on projects where they're the primary lender. They have the first position as a lender on the security, which is, if you don't pay your bills, they take the project, they sell it, and they try and recoup their costs. They don't want anybody ahead of them, and they view PACE financing as being ahead of them in line. There's a bunch of arguments about this. It's an ongoing debate. And so, we typically don't use PACE on strictly affordable housing projects. But if we're doing a mixed use project, or if there's some other financing structure, then we will use PACE. For example, there is a real estate cooperative called Common Grounds in Traverse City. I'm on the board of that cooperative, so full disclosure. That project was one of the first large mixed use projects in the state of Michigan to use PACE financing as part of their capital stack. And they do have affordable and workforce units in the project. So that was a really long technical answer, but I think that's what you were looking for. Hopefully it works out.
Well, thank you both so much for your time today. I know it's just about noon, so I want to be respectful of your time. So a couple of things that we'll send out to everyone. The slides will be sent out. We can attach the future of LEED document that Lana was referring to, maybe even a link to the public comment that you mentioned. And then, Matt mentioned that we did award them in December with the Certified Green Building Award for multifamily. We do have a blog post about that. Matt just gave you so much more context than what's probably in that blog post, but if you want to check it out, we'll link that as well. So again, thank you so much, both of you, for being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. If you're in the area, stay warm, drive safe. So thank you.
Thank you
So much. Have a great day.
Bye.